Welcome to another podcast of Business Breakthroughs. Today with me, we have Cerise. Cerise is living in the UK, but we are not in the UK right now. We are in Romania on our mastermind. And the question I have, Cerise, before we'll get to what you do, why have you decided to fly to Romania, spend 5 days with a bunch of different business entrepreneurs from all over the world? Actually, we are from 7 different countries. Why have you decided to come? How is that benefiting you? Can you tell us a bit more about that? Because I do run events and also I'm in charge of networking events, and I have people in Edinburgh and they live 15 minutes from the event. It's a 3 hour networking event. I keep inviting them every month and they're like, always have something to do.
Yeah.
So there is not many people who will travel for 5 days to a different country. So why did you do that?
So first of all, there's the second largest spa in Europe. That was enticing. But yeah, obviously from the business perspective, I met you first in Slovakia when I went to the mastermind there. And the reason why I came back and decided to do this again is the value that I got from being in that space. Like 5 days, you're with a bunch of people. Things get deep. I cried again on this one. But I think like when building your business, it's really important to face yourself, face your fears, and have other people shine a light on things so you can be aware of things that maybe you aren't aware of, or have ideas that you wouldn't have come up by yourself. And being in this environment for such sort of compressed sort of time helps you accelerate your growth when it may have taken you months or even years.
Yes. No, you said it very well, because like the compression of time, that's so important. Like that's what I actually learned from Tony Robbins, because that's what he's teaching. Like he compressed, firstly decades of people of learnings into 3, 4, 5 days events, and then people learn it in a quick way, and then they do it again 3 months later or 6 months later, and do it again, because then you apply it and go again, and you learn and you apply it. Perfect. So then tell me a little bit more about you. What is it you do in the UK? What is your business? So we can get to a little bit know.
Yeah, sure. So in a simple way, like say you wanted to find a new home to live in, you would go to Rightmove, maybe meet a few agents to find the place you want to go and move to. Companies need that too. So they need residential homes to operate their businesses. It could be a care provider housing vulnerable people in a home space. It could be someone operating an Airbnb, short let type business. Could even be like councils who need temporary accommodation for people in the community. So I go out, find those properties through landlords, agents who are open to working with those companies, and do all the legwork for them so they don't need to. And yeah, at the end of it, depending on the arrangement, either the company will pay me a fee for doing that, or the landlord will pay me a fee for connecting them together.
Okay, very good. And then why have you decided to do this kind of a business? Like, what did you do before? And then have you had a business before? Have you been working? And then if you've been working, how did you do the transition? Because a lot of people are in the job, and then they want to start something new, but they are afraid, or they have a business, they want to start a different one and not do this one, but they're afraid. So how did you go about the transition, and when did you start? And
Yeah, so that's a really good question. Like, fear is such a massive thing that can hold you back. And I've always aspired to like doing business, being an entrepreneur, but coming from a corporate career, I started in the technology space. I've got a mathematics degree, and that's sort of where I built my career in financial technology. But I had an itch to do something more. I just couldn't see myself working until I was 85, doing something that I didn't really enjoy. So from about, I would say 2020 is when things began. Just before the pandemic, went to part-time hours. So I started working 4 days a week. Then having that spare time, I was just experimenting, trying different things. I've done health coaching, really like into fitness, and I was a vegan one, so it was around that. I've tried like print on demand. I've got a children's book on Kindle as well. So I've tried like a lot of different things. But because I have like quite a like creative aspect to me, but also very like logical, like that's my mathematics brain. And I wasn't quite finding what fed both sides of it. And now through property, which I've been doing for the past year and a half or so, I've been able to get that connection with people, be creative in how I do things. And, every day is different, which is what I really love.
Yeah. So do you like that it's a people business, that you are meeting with people constantly, and so this is a bunch of people in here on the mastermind? Like, do you enjoy?
Yeah, no, definitely. I really love that. You get to meet like all different walks of life, whether it's people that I'll potentially collaborate with in business, whether it's like speaking to landlords and seeing that they have a challenge that I can help them sort of overcome. I'm definitely a real problem solver, so this business gives me that canvas to sort of do that. So yeah.
And so how did you learn to do this kind of a business? Like, you are connecting the people who wants, they need that business, the place for their business, like you mentioned, either for social housing, holiday, like whatever the business they are doing. So you are finding those deals for them, doing the legwork. So how did you learn about it? Like, did you read a book and then like, I'll go and do it? And like, what did you do? So because people wants to start, like, and then, they make a mistake. For example, I read a book or other books, and then I'm like, okay, let me just go to this one seminar. I learned something. There was some basics. I'm like, okay, I think I know what I'm doing. And then I went and I made mistakes and I lost money, right? Because I actually didn't educate myself properly in that space, but I did it anyway. So what did you do? Okay.
So I think that's like a really good point. So I'll come back to something that you said later. But where did I start and who did I train with? I have trained with quite a lot of people. And at first I felt like, why is it taking me so long to get this right? So I've been in this just over a year and a half. I would say it took me just over a year to actually get my first real like success. But what I found is through the different people I trained with, I got different things. So Vincent Wong is someone that I've trained with. He's really big in the space of like lease options, below market value purchases, that sort of thing. So that gave me my foundation in like purchasing, and also a lot in like negotiations and how to interact with people who need help with finding a solution with their home. I've also trained with Samuel Leeds a bit. I love the community. There's so many people in there. I've been able to make a lot of great connections in that space. Kieran Connolly is another one. And I want to highlight what I learned with him specifically because it's similar to environments what we have now. So we went out to a mansion in the Peak District for like 5 days, and just being in that intense environment, literally sleeping a few hours a day, just absorbing all of that knowledge. I would say like working with him was like one of the turning points for me really understanding how to do deal sourcing, like how to present myself effectively when I'm doing that. And then finally, there are a lot. JL Spooner. So she is like one of the first students of Samuel Leeds as well. She's like me. She's a Black woman. She has a young son, like just a little bit older than mine. And I think a lot of people don't realize when you're getting into business, it's not just about knowing what to do in the processes. You also need to overcome that fear, have the self-belief, like know that you can do this. And that's something I'm so grateful to JL for sort of inspiring me and showing I can do this, I am enough. Yeah, quite a few, but I'm grateful for all of them.
Yeah. Well, you pointed out very well about the the fear where people are feeling like, I don't know if to do it. So there is lots and lots of people, they go to the trainings, but doesn't lead anywhere. I've been on somewhere leads. For example, on this one event, it was the no money down, whatever, for 4 days. It was 200 of us there. And then we kind of connected, like, let's do Zoom calls once a week to, to kind of support each other. And I created the group with people, so that let's do the Zoom calls. And on the first Zoom call, I think there was maybe 30 people maybe showed up on the first week. People exciting. Yes, we'll do this. We'll go there. We'll do the deal sourcing. We'll do rent-to-rents. And it was all these strategies, lease options, and everybody excited. The second week, I think it was like 10 people. And the third week, I was alone. Wow. Nobody showed up. I'm like, where are those people? People give up so quickly, so quickly. I even spoke with another, used to be trainer for someone leads, and we spoke recently, and he also is helping people, people through property. And he said, like, from these people I trained, there's only like 5% people who are actually doing it, and then they are succeeding. And that's the reality. It's like, there's only, like yesterday I shared the thing about the podcast, right?
Yeah.
There is only 5% people who actually go over 100 episodes. Majority of the people do only the 3 episodes, and then 90% will give up after 3 episodes. So it's like people give up so quickly, especially because the social media is like, do rent to rent. You try for 2 weeks, doesn't work. Do crypto trading. Okay, I'll do crypto trading.
And that's the thing, like, because of how like the coaching industry in general works, like you want to accentuate the success, the highlights, like everything is about getting that win.
Yeah.
And people don't really see what goes underneath. Like, what work did it take them to get that?
Yeah.
And so they go into it with a lot of like hope and like the vision of what it can be, but they don't realize the work that it takes to get that.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of shocks a lot of people. And, if they just kept continuing, I think the only way to really fail is to stop. The only way to fail is to give up. And there's so many days I went through just like crying, like, what am I doing? Why did I like put so much into this and I'm not getting anything back? But I'm so glad that I persisted and I pushed on, because it's helped me grow as a person, and I've finally started to get that success that I want.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, people don't realize it's a hard work. Yeah,
It really
that's they always, that's on one thing. It's difficult because people want the easy thing, but it's like when people are coming in here to the mastermind, or in the past, like I still do it, but like the coaching, like I speak to people, it's like, oh, it's gonna be hard work. You're not gonna be successful right away. Even this mastermind was like, yeah, we can help you to get the business going and more successful. It's gonna take minimum a year. It's not gonna be next 2 months, because you need to build the momentum. You need to start believing in yourself. Then you need to apply this and this and this and build on that. It takes time. I recently, like over a year ago in January, I joined GT Fox. And it was also like one of the parts was, it's called deal finance, where you can pitch your property deals or business deals to get the funding. And I'm like, yes, that's great. Good community, a lot of investors. There are like around 400 people, and you can pitch anytime you want. So last year I pitched 4 deals, good deals. It's not like bad deals, good deals. And then I pitched it, and I didn't get funded, any of them. And then, but I wouldn't give up, right? I would be like, okay, I need to keep changing approach. And GT always speaks about the relationship. It's about relationship capital. It's more important than money. I would be asking people on the deep dives, what is it you want? What is it you want? What is it you want? And they would be telling me what kind of things they want. And at the end of the day, it was about the relationship. I cannot come and speak in front of 400 people as a newbie. Nobody knows me in that community, and suddenly experts, suddenly people throw money at me. Even if I pay to be there, it doesn't work like that, right? So you still need to do the work.
Yeah.
And so actually it took a little bit over a year. And the first investor who invested now recently from Australia, it was now because I was building that relationship with him, and I built a relationship with a lot of. But this is what it takes.
Yeah.
But usually a lot of people, they're not going to put the extra work to it because they feel like, I paid, now I should get the result. No, now you pay to be in the room. Now it's your job to do the work to get to the next level, right? But a lot of people, they pay, go for the training, and now they think like, I paid, now I will be successful.
Yeah.
No, you won't. Yeah, you won't. So, okay, so this you've done, seems like a lot of different trainings with a lot of different people. And I like you mentioned them all, because the thing is, we learn from every person. Like I've done something with Samuel Leeds, I've done something with, Alistair, I've done with Tony Robbins, with JT Fox doing now. And every person teaches something different.
Yeah.
So, I might learn one thing over there and I apply it. That's good. One thing over there. But sometimes people look at the whole thing and then they're like, yeah, not really for me. But it's like, just apply one thing.
Right, exactly. And I think that's something that I've definitely got. Like, I'm not someone who naturally just follows every single step. I do like to remix things, and maybe that's why it took me a little bit longer. But everyone's different, and even if someone's way works for them, it doesn't mean it's the only way. And you need to package things in a way that aligns with you. Because you can show me, look, this is what I did, A, B, C, D, but it doesn't mean that C feels right for me. So what I've loved about training with these different people is that I've got different things from each space, and made something now which I feel is like more of my own. And the other benefit is like the people I've been able to connect with and meet with. I think in this space like of like sourcing like property deals, it doesn't have like the best rep,
Mhm.
I would say. And that's probably because there are a lot of naive people just going out there and not really taking on board how much of a responsibility it is. Like that's someone's home, someone's got a mortgage to pay. There's like a massive responsibility.
Yeah.
And that's something I try to bring in how I operate. Like
Mm.
I want to be trustworthy and someone that
Yeah.
you can rely upon for
Mhm.
bringing you the right opportunity.
Okay. Yeah, it's important. It's not easy. I have a tenant now in one property. It's not a holiday let. This one is the only one I have for the single let. And 2 months I didn't receive the rent.
Oh, yeah.
And guess what? I have to pay the mortgage.
Mhm.
And then they feel like I think like they are like you know sometimes the tenants they feel like they don't need to pay because they have some rights. Then they it's gonna take time to I can kick them out, and it's gonna be like that. But and then they see like the landlord is someone who has money because invested in a property,
Right.
but they don't understand. There's like they don't understand that I have a family, I have three children, I have things to do, mortgage to pay, and all these things and expenses, the things I have to invest into that property. They don't see like that. Like the property, for example, that one. I think it's recently just recovered the investment or I put into it, and it's 4 years, right?
Yeah.
As a single let. So and then they don't see that a lot of tenants they're like they're landlords, they have money. Like no.
Think a part of that is the kind of rhetoric on the media. It does present landlords as these,
Yeah.
big, like people who want to take all your money and greedy and that sort of image. But like my parents have been like landlords for as long as I can remember, so I've been like seeing things behind the scene. And some landlord, a lot of landlords, they maybe only have like one property, two
Yeah.
properties. They maybe accidentally became landlords because they inherited it. They're just everyday people like you and me. And yes, of course, there are people who intentionally invest, but everyone has a right to have a home. But I think it's also important to recognize a landlord is giving a service as well. Like having a
Yeah.
home over your head is so important.
Yeah.
And with all the sort of renters' rights acts coming in, just in not
Mhm.
too long now, a lot of landlords are actually looking for an alternative. Like
Mhm.
there's a lot of legislation that's going to come through, and not everyone wants to deal with that. So
Yes.
what we offer with a company coming in to occupy your property, they don't need to deal with that, and that's why we're finding a lot more landlords are becoming open to
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
arrangement.
And this is why I also did it for 4.5 years. The holiday lets, especially for my side, not the HM not as much, but it's the company let, right? Because it's like if that tenant wouldn't be there, if company would want to be there, and they're like, hey, we'll run it.
Yeah,
I don't want the tenant. So once this tenant is gone, then we need to speak, and you need to look at that because I don't want to deal with it, and you need to tell me like, do I want to run it as a holiday let, or can we do social housing from that, or what HMO or something? So you tell me, and then if you're happy, you go in and you do it.
awesome.
Yeah, I just need to get rid of them.
Yeah, and you know what? It's so interesting. Like in the run up to the like Renters' Rights Act coming out now, like there are I was been on a conversation with a landlord, just like I just want out. I want to sell. I just want to cover my costs. Like people are actually seeing a lot more like urgency. They
Yeah.
don't want to have to submit their um what is it the making tax digital stuff every 3 months. There's so many more things that you need to do now.
Yeah.
And those people who came into property when it wasn't as complicated are just
Mhm.
ready to exit. So now is like a massive opportunity for investors to begin sort of the new cohort come in and take the properties on in different ways and be creative with how we do it.
Mhm. Mhm. Also, I have a question because at this mastermind, we spoke about the branding the first day. So how do you see the branding? Like, how do you see it now after obviously what we discussed and things like that? Because for me, like before I started working with JT, I didn't know this is a thing. For me as a small business owner, branding, I always thought about these big companies, but I never thought it about myself. So how do you see it, and how it can benefit you as you're like a small business owner?
So, like I've been mostly in my corporate career. Only recently, I've left that to go fit in on my business. And I think I hid a lot. Like I wanted to try and see, can I just do this all behind the scenes? Like no one needs to see my face. But then I realized actually, like,
Smiling.
but then I realized like people don't really buy into the business. They don't buy into the logo. They buy into you as a person. It is definitely a people business. And in terms of branding, I've recognized that I do need to show my face. I do need to be proud of what I have to offer and the service that I give. And there's so many things I've taken from this mastermind that I didn't really think about. But then when I look at people that I admire that are doing well, they are actually doing all those things. Yeah. So I need to like do those things myself as well. So yeah.
There's a lot of people like when you know that they're doing it, but they're just not teaching it.
Right. Exactly.
Even like, for example, like Tony Robbins, right? I'm a big fan of him for years. And he does all those things, but he doesn't actually teach it on any of his events. And yes, I didn't join the Platinum Partnership, but maybe he shares it there, on the more advanced thing. But no one else, even with the other people. And then we spoke about Samuel Leeds, And then firstly, JT Fox opened my eyes about this branding. And then I discovered JT Fox coached Samuel Leeds. It was his coach back then. Like when Samuel Leeds was starting, JT Fox taught him everything, how to do it. That's why Samuel Leeds is big on YouTube and going on people's house and do all this personal thing and branding, because he knows the game, because he taught him that. Right? So, and then when you look back on those people and you go like, they're doing it. But you don't know those things unless somebody tells you, teach you those things. So it was really eye-opening for me a year ago, and now I'm focusing on that a lot, and I see it opens up the conversations so much.
Yeah, and that's the important thing about like having mentors, having coaches, learning from other people and investing in yourself. Like that has so much value. And no one can take that away from you. Once you know it, that's yours.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the like everybody who is successful speaks about it. Like in the past, like I was a big follower of Robert Kiyosaki, right? So he always speaks about it like, even if he starts from scratch now, everything goes away, he's going to make it back so easily because he has all the knowledge, everything what he learned, he knows how to. So it's going to be very quick. The same what Samuel is doing on his videos, like go undercover, it doesn't have anything. And he just makes it happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he knows, I'll find that deal, I'll negotiate, I'll have this, I'll sell it. And he knows how it works. He knows how the game is played. So when you invest in yourself, that's not going to go anywhere. You can always make more money. That's why I invest a lot into self-development and education with the trainers, because I'm like, I'm going to learn that from them. And this is an opportunity. I'll just do it now. And, even if it's, at the moment I'm going to go with a bit of minus with, money, I don't care. Because what I'm going to learn, it's going to push me much further. And it's always like that.
100%. And
but it's always scary.
It is scary. Yeah. It is so scary. Like the first time that I like made my first investment into like coaching and working with someone, it was when I was doing health stuff. But it felt so scary, like when you're jumping in. But now that I've done that multiple times and I've actually been able to close sales where people are doing that with me, like it feels like so rewarding because you are able to deliver something of value at the end of that. Yeah. And I think of it like when you're jumping up, if you jump standing straight and you just jump, you're not going to go very high. But if you bend down, bend your knees, you're going to go so much further. And that's how I see what you mentioned about like the investment. Sometimes it does take you a bit down, but it will bring you back up higher.
Yeah, that's a nice analogy. It's very nice. Oh, jumping, yeah. So I remember like in just last year with JT, we invested in I think it was in January or March now. Join it's called Insiders, but he was like, we'll be closing it. It's the last spots, but if you say something like that, it needs to be true, and it was true. It's closed now for new people, and then it was 30,000 for us to join. 30,000. But that was the biggest thing there, and then we're like, okay, so we made it happen, and then 2 weeks later, we made 25,000.
Wow.
Because what the things will be learned from him.
Yeah.
Right? On that event, because he was running like a coaching on 1%. And then we made 25 back. And I'm like, oh, amazing. So that's cool. And then I invested more and more and more. Just last year, it was 70,000.
Wow.
Just with him. But the thing is, what is bringing, like the value of the branding and everything, it's so much easier with a lot of different things. And now, like in the past, like, the hardest was to invest the first 2,000 pounds, which I invested in Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi. It was Knowledge Business Blueprint. It was online training. And then I did that, and it was the hardest 2,000 pounds I ever invested, because when you are going from that employee mindset or having very little to live from, so then this first 2,000 is difficult.
Yeah.
But when you do it, like you said, again and again and again, and you do it, you make something and you see the results and you move forward, then you're like, oh, that's good. So you just keep investing.
Exactly.
Like Louise was mentioning, if you want to make millions, you need to invest hundreds of thousands.
Right.
If you want to make tens of millions, you invest millions. So that's the only way. And people expect they'll invest, 2,000 and they'll be making 200,000. No, if you invest 2,000, you're going to be making 20,000, 30,000. Then you need to invest 10, 20 to get to 100.
And I think as well, like even besides the money, that it is about taking action.
Action.
You can't go to these spaces, just write down notes, absorb everything and not go and do it. Like you have to sort of take that leap. It will feel scary. It won't feel comfortable. But for you to go, you have to feel uncomfortable. I think people sometimes expect to be like handheld and guided, but you do need to take that leap of faith with it.
And that's what I find out a little bit it works for me, but I've seen it with other people, because I didn't have the money to invest. Even when I went to the Summer Leads in 2021, I was on the free event and it's like, come to the no money down for 2K. I'm like, I don't have 2K. I texted a few people and the one person borrowed me 1,000, the other person borrowed me 1,000. I put it together, 2,000 I went in. But because I landed, I work hard because I know I have obligation. And so I always work much harder. And I found out the people who had the money saved and they invested. They didn't do anything because let's say they had 10K saved and they put 2 and then they went, tried to limit the reward. And like, oh, I just lost 2K. But I couldn't say it.
Yeah.
I had to
you had to pay those people back, right?
So I had to show the proof and do it, right? So more you do it, it just becomes easier and you just get pushed. So that's what I found out. Yeah. Okay. So I have a last question before we wrap it up. So if you've ever been, and I know you've been in any kind of tough situation, in a business or a personal life, doesn't matter. How did you overcome it? What helped you the most to overcome that? Because there are people in those tough places right now. And what kind of would you tell them to what helped you, which they can maybe like, oh, I never didn't try that. Maybe let's try that. Is anything what you have in mind?
It's a really, really good question. I could speak about some stuff in the past, but I'll bring it more to like home to now. I'm in the current situation where I have just left my job to like go fill in on my business. Unexpectedly, my partner did become made redundant. So it's like a lot sooner than we would have expected. And it feels like super scary for me right now. Yeah. But I think what has kept me strong and pursuing the path is being in spaces like this. Like, even though I can't see too far ahead of what things will look like, it's holding that belief and faith to keep continuing and surrounding yourself in the right environment so you don't go into that downward spiral. You're still just pushing yourself up, and who you're around like makes such a massive difference. So I would say that being around the right people.
Yeah, I think it's the answer I'm getting, because I ask this to everybody at the end of all the time. I think that's coming the most often is the people around you, the peer group. So if you are in the right environment, because if you can let go, like you said, like you cried, like you can let go, and that the people will support you. And when you hear another people's challenges there and then, you're like, oh, actually, I'm not alone. It's normal, and it is normal. And when we realize that, like I really like on Tony Robbins on his event, I think it was on a Business Mastery. He's showing that I have it at home. So there is like a cycle of a business. Like when you start, like he's calling like it's born, like you are a newborn, then you are what's the next stage?
Like a baby.
Adolescent, like a baby, and then you are like a
adolescent.
Yeah, and then you are a teenager and an adult, and then you are like older, and then he's having like that kind of thing. I'll show you. I'll send you a photo of that, and then there is every stage, and it says like if you are in business in here, that means that you are doing all these things, but you don't have a cash flow. If you are here, you are doing still all these different things, you still don't have a cash flow. If you are here, you are starting to being steady. When you are an adult, you are suddenly, you know how to work the business, you have systems in place, and you have a cash flow. But there are very first stages, you don't have a cash flow. That's normal. People struggle. But the thing is, if people don't know it, they're being stressed. But now for me, knowing it, what's the cycle, I'm like, that's normal. Yeah. I'm in here, that's normal. So I just need to go here, and then it's going to become steady, and I'm going to be reaping up the fruit. But if you don't know the cycle, then we get stressed. And that's why reading books and checking history is so important because there are different cycles, like in the seasons, right? So once we know those cycles, then we are not stressed because we are like, yes, we are at this beginning of cycle. It's normal. So we just need to be going through that. And for some people, the cycle is quicker. Like we have here 19-year making a lot of money. So for him, everybody has a different kind of a path, but everybody has different problems, right?
Exactly.
So I know people, they are very rich, but they are not very healthy. So, I mean, we are healthy, we take care about ourselves. Yeah. And then we are growing the business. And so it's there's that. So
Yeah.
thank you very much, Cerise, for being on the podcast. I hope we'll do it again in the future, see where you are and maybe a year from now.
No, that would be great to do.
Yeah. I like to do, the repeats after with people, because then you will also see like what people actually who do progress and who are those 5% of people.
Yeah. I want to be the 5%. I am
You
already
are.
so.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank
Awesome.
you.